Over the course of this step, we've discussed a lot of different props and how to use them, and you've thought a lot about what props you want to have in your styling collection. Because the options are endless and some props are more versatile than others, in this lesson, we're narrowing it down to some of the most versatile ones. If you have nothing else in your styling collection, these props will still help you create some gorgeous scenes. Let's start with food photography. If you never photograph food, go ahead and fast forward to this timestamp. For food styling, these are my top props. Linens, utensils, 2 or more rectangular objects, 4 or more white vessels for stacking, a glass bottle, and a lot of sprinkling material. I guess that was 6. There's 6. I have 6 top props. So first up are linens. Linens are anything fabric that can be folded or draped. Napkins, towels, scarves, that kind of thing. Linens can be folded and used as frames. They can also be draped to fill space in both flat lay and eye level shots. In eye level shots, you can place them under your subject or behind your subject and to the side to create a triangle composition. Having a collection of linens is super helpful, but you can do a lot with just one. If I was building my styling collection from scratch, I'd start with a white flour sack towel. Over time, I'd add colored towels and printed towels until I had about 5 that all suit my style. Next are utensils. Striking utensils can really elevate a scene and give the viewer a window into your style. At the time of filming this, I'm partial to these white and gold utensils. If these don't suit your style, consider antique silver or black utensils. Next are 2 or more rectangular objects. These will act as your frames and risers. Examples include small cutting boards, trays, chargers, cooling racks, and this thing, which is not a cooling rack. It's actually an antique potato grater from eBay. So if I had to go with just 2 of these objects, I'd go with 1 solid object like a charger or cutting board and 1 grated object like a cooling rack or that potato grater. This will give you contrast in texture and design. And as always, you can follow Mandy's rule by stacking these beneath your subject, even if it feels weird doing it. I promise it will look fabulous to put a potato grater on a plate on a napkin. So 4 or more white vessels are next. Like we talked about in the last lesson, stacking multiple vessels in a back corner is a great way to add height and visual interest. To start your collection, I would start with 4 white vessels that can easily stack on top of each other. Things like dishes, bowls, ramekins, mugs, or cream pourers. Over time, I would add white vessels with designs on them, things like stripes, flowers, or snowflakes. Then later, I'd add colored or wooden vessels that match my other props or the recipes I tend to shoot. Glass bottles. These are another great way to add height to the background. I would start my collection with 2 bottles of different heights. If I can, I try to find bottles with corks so I have the option of leaving the cork in or propping it against the base of the bottle. Of course, you can either keep the bottle empty or you can fill it with milk, juice, coffee, or whatever matches your subject. One amazing trick if you're putting liquid in it, use a funnel to fill it up. This prevents liquid from splashing up the sides of the bottle and causing noticeable splash droplets. Finally, sprinkling material. Usually the best sprinkles are right in front of you or in your kitchen. They're the crumbs from the recipe you're shooting or the ingredients you use to make it. Alternatively, use things that aren't in your recipe. Flower petals and loose tea are my go-tos. I know I've mentioned that so many times. I keep all of these in clear plastic bags so that I can easily see if the color and texture are right for a particular scene. Now, let's talk about product photography. When I say products, by the way, I mean everything that isn't food, and that's incredibly broad since your product could range from figurines to body butter to candles or cacti. Without knowing exactly what you photograph, it's impossible for me to tell you the exact props you need. So I'm going to introduce you to 5 props that will work for most products. If they don't feel like they'll work for yours, try to think about what goal a particular prop accomplishes. For example, is it adding height or acting as a frame? And think about what else you could use to accomplish that goal. For product photos, my top 5 props, and I hope there are actually 5 this time, are a large round object about 1 foot in diameter. This can either be a charger or a tray, a small round or rectangular object less than 6 inches in diameter. Optimally, its diameter is a little larger than the diameter of your product. This could be a coaster, a shallow ring dish, a piece of wood, a bathroom tile from a home store, or a small book. The goal here is to place it under your product in eye-level photos sometimes, and beside your product in flat lay photos. Third is a small extra. This could be a flower, a crystal, a lemon, or anything smaller than your product that suits it and matches it in color and subject matter. 4 is something to sprinkle. 5, yes, it's 5, I think it's 5. 5 is any tools that you use to create your product. So for example, if you're an artist, use your paint tubes, brushes, and palette. If you're a jewelry maker, use your beads, pliers, or wire. Now let's see the ways we can use these. For the large round object. For flat lay photos, it can be used as a frame. It can also be used in the corner without anything on top. This is a great way to add visual interest to product photos on your website or Etsy shop without distracting from your subject. You can take that look to the next level by adding a small round object and a small extra. Now let's use the same large round object in eye-level photos. Here, we propped it against the vertical surface and placed the subject in the center of the horizontal surface. This let us keep the large round object blurred and created a welcoming sunrise feel. Of course, the less your object weighs, the easier it'll be to hold it upright like this. Alternatively, you can use it as a short riser like this. So that's 2 flat lay uses and 2 eye-level uses for the same prop. Next up is the small round or rectangular object. Similar to the large round object, this object can be used in flat lays as a frame or next to your product for visual interest. You can place your product in the center or off to the side to show more of this object. In eye-level photos, it can act as a short riser or you can prop it up on its side. Next up is the small extra. This can be placed next to your product or on top of the large round object. You can also use it to create a trio that includes your product and the small round or rectangular object. Finally, the sprinkling material. Rather than having to source new sprinkling material every time you shoot, take the time now to fill a bunch of clear plastic bags or small glass bottles with anything you may want to sprinkle. Keep the bags in a box in your studio. The clear bags makes it easy to see what's inside, so you can easily choose a sprinkle that matches your scene. You can even hold the bag up to your scene to get an idea of what it will look like sprinkled. Plus, bags are easier to remove the sprinkle from and put the sprinkle back into than a container with multiple compartments. And that's that. My top props for food and product styling. Action items for this lesson focus on building your styling collection and creating your styling formula. Start with another inspiration search. You're probably seeing a pattern here, but that's because it works. Analyzing tons of photos will make you a better styler and photographer. Take screenshots of photos that contain the must-have props I listed or that contain props you like. If there are any props you're missing, order them now or bookmark them for later. By now, you should be starting to gain a pretty decent styling collection. This is also the end of step 1, compositions and styling. When you're ready, complete the end of step 1 action items in your workbook. These will help you create your composition and styling formula. First, create a dedicated home for your new prop collection. Then put everything together by composing and photographing scenes using different compositions, different spacing, different tools like risers or frames, and different props. This photo shoot is vital for helping you solidify your composition and styling formula. Then, recreate your favorite photo from that shoot as a step-by-step photo sequence showing every styling step, just like the photos we used in the compositions lessons. This will help you remember the order of steps that create your favorite photo. You can also teach it to others in the formula community if you choose to post it. And these photos are just plain awesome reminders of your progress.